much of a public speaker. I'm more of a workshop kind of guy. I work at a haunted house. I've worked at a scene shop at a theater for 13 years, making props for dinner theater, which is one of the lowest of art forms, but it's a job. You learn a lot of junk because, you know, you got to weave straw into gold all the time, and you got a timeline, and, you know, maybe about $300 to build a set, so there's no money left over for props after you buy 2x4s and plywood. So you kind of get forced into being a junk artist. I've started making things out of PVC and hot glue and bones and things like that, and then after a while you start finding the materials that are interstitial to those things, like bone and latex and hot glue go together so well. They stick. The bone and latex just adhere perfectly. Like, I could probably peel this thing down to its deer skull, but it takes some serious effort. So like all these are the same stuff. You sculpt them out of clay first. You can get you a bag of plaster from Walmart, cast a negative. You can buy you a bottle of liquid latex for $50. Slosh it in there, yank it out. The same stuff you made it out of, the same stuff you apply it with, glue it on with, it becomes more of the same. One of the new things everybody loves is EVA foam. This stuff's amazing. A lot of the full suits of Skyrim armor you'll see, like Skyrim fans here, anybody? Yeah. One? Just one?
Oh yeah, Skyrim's awesome, man.
You see, like, you'll type in like the Draugr Death Lord, and you'll see this dude with this full plate mail, like beautifully ornamented, and that's all that EVA foam right there.
That's cool.
Probably weighs like a total of 5 pounds with a whole suit of armor. You can do all sorts of stuff to it. It's really toxic for you, of course, when you're sanding it, and you have to put it together with contact adhesive, which is the stuff they put countertops on with it. And it's, the fumes are toxic, things like that, but once you glue it together, you'll tear the foam before you ever get that seam apart. The neat effect on that, I actually drew on some with a Sharpie one time, where I was going to gouge it out with a Dremel. And I didn't like it, so I just took the heat gun and cooked the EVA to give it that cast iron modeling. And the Sharpie resisted the heat treatment. So I stumbled upon a really neat effect. There was a doodle on them, hit them with the heat gun, saves a half hour of carving and sanding and things like that. So that's drawn on there with a Sharpie, $40 heat gun, and it pops right out. The silver stuff on it is really cool. It's called Rub and Buff. And if you want to come up here and pick things up, you can. Like I said, I'm not a public speaker. I like working in the workshop, so just put things in people's hands. Have it. Don't stab yourself. There's a real antler. The Rub and Buff is, it's like a oil paint suspended in wax. So you put it on a rag and just kind of lightly wipe it on the high surfaces, and it picks out all your three-dimensional detail for you. It's really cool. Saves a lot of time. Come on in. Tell these cats about EVA. You guys are familiar with EVA foam? It's that floor mat stuff. It's that jigsaw floor mat kind of stuff you get at Lowe's or hardware stores. I'd love to find it in a way that wasn't puzzle pieces together like a floor mat. I'd love to get 6-foot sheets of it if I could. Yeah, that one is a little heavy.
What about restaurant mats, fatigue mats like they use in dishwashing areas?
Maybe. Those are pretty thick, like the heavier plastic.
Yeah, some make the foam ones like that. Shoney's uses them.
That's probably the same stuff. Like, what is it? Ethyl vinyl acrylate, EVA. And I love PVC. A lot of my stuff's made out of PVC. Gardening gloves, cash register, tape rolls out of a cash register. vacuum cleaners, man. Everybody brings me their dead vacuum cleaners. I've taken apart so many vacuum cleaners, I could probably be a repairman now that I've seen how they go wrong in a myriad of ways. But, you know, it's, you get one halfway apart and you're like, oh, that was just a hair clog. Too bad. I want this now. Yeah, that's primarily PVC. And all the dangerous things. Here.
Alright, that's pretty cool.
My old espresso machine's in that. Oh man, that's ancient handle off of an old farm implement. Pieces of an alarm clock. The Dragon Maw. This is actually a pure steam weapon. I work for the Pure Steam game. So either I sculpt it, sketch it, or build it. And if it's cool enough, it gets in the game. Otherwise, just another gun cell. But this one's actually in. This is a Dwarven Tunnel Sweeper Dragon Maw blunderbuss. So if you had Scandinavian dwarves living in the American South in a D&D campaign setting, you know, that's pretty much what you get. You gotta get you some redneck dwarves together with a Norse motif. These things are cool. These are shoe covers for dropping stuff on your feet. Came with little rubber bands. You just strap them on the back. Drilled them out, jigsawed them out. Metal gears are everywhere and things, but they're usually too heavy to put on your stuff, and they're hard to attach. So fax machines, printers, things like that always have these plastic gears. They weigh nothing. You can drill holes all in them. You can glue them together. ABS adhesive works on most plasticky parts inside printers. PVC adhesive, ABS plastic. The same stuff the 501st puts their stormtrooper armor together with, because that's all PVC practically. I don't know, ask me some questions. I usually have a PowerPoint thing going that kind of just talks for me, shows things, but.
Do you just find your bones in the woods, or do you get people to bring those to you too?
I used to find them in the woods until I ran out, and now I went to Stanton. Went to Stanton 3 weeks ago for Sci-Fi Con down there, and the dude wanted one, and he couldn't, you know, he didn't want to pay for it. And he comes by later, and he's got a box of skulls and a bag of like random like bear fur and raccoon tails and stuff. So yeah, I traded. If I could, you know, I'll be able to make 7 more staffs based on what I traded for the one. Animal parts. I did a lot of research, and I'm still really hazy about the legality of animal parts in some of my art. Like deer, obviously game animals, you can buy antlers anywhere. But like you got fresh deer meat parts, and they don't want you traveling across state lines with deer pieces because of random diseases that get carried around. There's like a black tongue disease, and now there's one in Virginia that's a big deal too. Mine are thankfully long dead. Still not certain I'm breaking the law or not. I'm just gonna have to call the game warden up and be like, hey man, like, come look at these and make sure I'm not going to jail. That would be awful. I do know a friend, he paints on turkey feathers, and he had to produce a receipt where he bought these farm-raised turkey feathers and proved they weren't, I mean, you're not even allowed to like go pick them up out of the woods and paint on them and sell them. That's apparently illegal. So he keeps his receipt with him that he actually bought turkey feathers. And this is a dude that slays turkeys, you know, 10 a year, who knows, I don't know. The guy loves killing turkeys.
Do you just always pretty much try to keep an eye out if something looks interesting, or you can fit it in somewhere and you grab it, pick it up?
I've always been a junk artist. I don't know why, it's the most readily available resource in our new society. Like going to the art store and buying a canvas and some paint and crap like that, that's gonna, suddenly you got $100 in a piece of art that isn't even started. So if you're gonna paint, learn to stretch your own canvases. Get a table saw. I'm redneck at heart. I love it. Lots of tools. This wood stock came from 10 miles from my house. Raw lumber. jigsaw it out the shape you need, run it on the table saw, get your angles. Router table is your best friend if you're making guns. I'll take a wood stock, cut it out whatever weird shape you want, and you can run that thing on a router table and put 4 grooves, 6 grooves. So you can have like I got some quad barrel shotguns in there. You can have a sextuple barrel shotgun if you wanted. But yeah, router bits will run you pretty high.
Yeah, they're expensive.
My most coveted router bit's a $30 one, and I had to destroy it. I had to take the little wheel off the bottom so I could run troughs through my stocks. Oh, you know, that's tough, but you know, $30 bit, I can make a couple hundred guns before it craps out. Ask me questions, you guys.
You talked a little bit about gluing the sides of the axe together.
Yeah.
And the dangers of the adhesive is a little dangerous. Can you talk a little bit about like the dangers of that and hailing properties? Like I know if you sand bone, sometimes you can get
Yes. It is.
issue with that. So
On top of it being disgusting smelling,
Yes.
it is. The quickest I almost puked in my shop was I was cutting water buffalo horn on my bandsaw and got about halfway through it and took a breath and it smelled like, you know, a Golgothan had died in there. So it was nasty. It was really bad. But yeah, you can probably get some nasty diseases or get sick from bone dust or just breathing any kind of dust is like silicosis or I don't know what the term would be for bone dust clogging up your lungs. Pretty awful. The EVA, this stuff, yeah, you want to do this outside. Just cracking that can open of contact cement, it'll fill up your house with fumes. And it's benzene, bad for the nervous system. I mean, I took an art safety class in college, and basically he divided us up by our majors and told us how we were going to die. He's like, all right, all the painters, you're going to get benzene poisoning and so-and-so. And like, all the jewelers, you're going to get chemical pneumonia. So yeah, art is not safe. That's why, you know, you meet an older artist, they're pretty loopy. They tend to be pretty loopy because they've absorbed a lot of things they just didn't know about.
Would a regular old like $30 3M respirator work for something like that, or would that not be?
I use
enough?
the $30 one's probably good for dust.
Okay.
I use like a $100 one that I got from they mill down coal dust. So I got like a really good one from them, and I could be burning couch foam right in front of that thing and not even smell it. So yeah, protect your lungs, youngins, children's. Serious, you don't want to end up like me. Being adult helps in art. It's tough when you're trying to do business though. Man, that guy's crazy.
These kind of projects, what kind of paint would you recommend? I mean, acrylic or oil-based, or since they're getting a lot of use?
Oil-based, just I tend not to use it because it takes so long to dry. I love Rust-Oleum and Krylon primer. Like that's probably the only enamel oil base I use when I'm doing this. Well, the Rub and Buff's technically oil based, but it dries faster than you can really use it. You waste a lot on the rag you're applying it with just because it just dries so fast. So yeah, it is oil based, but a pea drop will do so much. Like I probably did all these antlers with just like a drop the size of a pea wiped into a rag. So it comes in teeny little tubes for about $6, and you'll get a lot of distance out of them. I use a lot of acrylic paint. If I gotta actually, like this is all probably acrylic mixed with tempera. I use tempera on my face because that's like, you know, the finger paint they give to kids. So that's probably about the safest material I use. The ammonia and the liquid latex does dry your face out. After doing this for 10 weekends in a row last fall, I looked older. I dried my face out for like 2 months straight. And I had like, you know, crow's feet, things like that from where I've been screwing up my moisture, I guess. Yeah, it's standard to use liquid latex to apply it. I don't guess they figure people are going to do it as frequently as me, but I should probably become a test case for them. Be good research.
Does that rub and buff stuff require a top coat? of any kind?
Yes, good question. Yes, acrylic sealant. You can get the brush on kind, but sometimes it'll activate the paint and start smearing around. I love, it's in the craft section at Walmart actually. The commercial acrylic sealants tend to be, they have too much solvent in them, I guess. Sometimes they reactivate things. They go on too heavy, but then there's like the craft version you can get at Walmart. It's a teeny little can, lasts a really long time, but it's acrylic. Some of the brush on stuff, once it starts to peel, you can just peel that acrylic layer right off. So use the spray on that. What do you guys think? Did I pass this around? I never throw my latex away. Like these ears I got on, they'll go in a box. I'll put some blood on them. Those Dacker here guys, you know, they need like necklaces of orc ears and goblin ears, battle trophies.
Would you recommend this stuff for like movies and such? You know, like maybe a future hobby movie, a little joke, a little, you know.
Would I recommend them for movies?
Like the stuff you do.
Yeah, I would.
Because seeing all this stuff made me think of a bunch of, like an idea for a bunch of movies.
Cool,
It
man.
just rushed to my head off like 10 seconds.
So you're a writer?
No.
You should be.
Trust me, I have many dreams, and I doubt they're gonna stop anytime soon.
Good. That's one of the things about getting old. People just give up. Yeah, I did, you know, the whole dinner theater thing for 13 years and absolutely hated it. You know, we did Little Shop of Horrors once, and I got to make all those plants, you know, huge man-eating couch foam plants, and then right into like the Elvis show and Christmas and New Year's, and I'm like, like after doing Little Shop Monsters, you can't go back to Elvis and Christmas. I've built Santa's cabin and Santa's house, Santa's workshop so many times I could do it in my sleep. Every year we build a nativity. Every year we build a big ramp for Elvis. But yeah, I mean, I was a theater guy that didn't like theater. I think one of the breaking points, I was at the haunted house I work at, and somebody was having a music theater trivia question. You're like, hey, music theater, what's the answer to that? And after being called music theater, you're kind of done. Yeah, I'd rather be identified for cooler art. Don't want to be known as the guy that builds Elvis sets. But, you know, you just do what you love. Find something that's really cool. And if you love it, you'll get good at it. And you know, now that the internet, you're at a perfect age too. The internet has everything you'd ever want to learn. You're like, how do I do that? I don't know. Somebody's got a video about it on YouTube, and they'll teach you how. Nice. Mandolorians. Awesome. They'll come up here, guys. They'll probably teach you more than me about your props. Awesome. Is this EVA?
Sintra.
Sintra. Is that like Warbler?
It's close. It's not as flexible as Warbler. It's a little bit more durable.
Right on. Awesome. Yeah, Warbler's thermoplastic, $80 for a 4x6 sheet. Kind of prohibitive, unless you just need an awesome pair of armor. Cool. Can you guys unhelm and talk, or I didn't know the rules.
Since we're custom characters, we're allowed to take our helmet off.
Cool. Okay.
Wait,
Yeah,
no.
my brother-in-law's in 501st,
Okay.
so I'm familiar with
Yeah.
all the hoops you have to jump.
Yeah.
We just put together a stormtrooper armor, and he wants it pristine. You know, I love distressing things, and we're trying. You know, it's black ABS adhesive, and we're putting white stormtrooper armor together. So if any of it's showing, you see it. And we're like using car touch-up paint hiding adhesive because he wants to be sharp, like he's there for the Emperor getting off the shuttle or something. Like, I'd rather be like a Tatooine guy, you know, all scrubby and covered in mud and sandblasted.
Yeah.
Like carbon scoring, you know. What's armor without some dings?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Y'all fans of the dented helm
Mm-hmm.
on the website? Or who is that?
That's it.
I love that stuff. We made a steampunk Boba Fett at Gen Con. That dude's cool. There, I saw Surfer Boba Fett. He was just wearing like the helm and some stuff, but he's like walking around in a Hawaiian shirt carrying a surfboard.
I think that's canon now.
No.
Bobatron. There's like dude does Bobatron. It's like straight up Mandalore armor, but it's got all the Tron lights and stuff in it. It's cool.
Did you guys make up your guys'? Did you guys make your own costumes?
Yep.
I didn't make this helmet.
Yeah, the helmet's the one thing that I didn't make from scratch. A lot of times the helmets are the hardest part. So you'll buy a helmet and then everything else. My gauntlets are 3D printed, and then all the actual armor pieces, the boots, all the stuff, everything was just cut out of Sintra. What he was talking about Warbler. Sintra's like Warbler, but it's a lot harder to work with, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper. Warbler is really expensive for what it is.
Right on. I've been looking up DIY versions of Warbler, trying to fake it.
Yeah, even at that, like from what I could tell, the DIY version is still like $50 a sheet.
Yeah, you gotta get the gallon of the plasticky stuff, and then half of it's sawdust.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty pricey for sawdust in Germany, isn't it?
Yeah.
they got a monopoly on it right now. I think you can only get it from Germany.
Yeah. If you're looking to make armor pieces that don't need to be really intricate, I definitely recommend Sintra. That's what these are made of. You can get a sheet that's like 8 feet by 4 feet for like $30-40. And that's enough to make 2 sets of Mando armor or whatever you're doing. Sintra,
Mine came from his sheet.
Yeah, from my sheet. It bends really well if you heat it up with a heat gun. But the problem is with Warbler, you can heat up with a heat gun and then it basically turns into almost like Play-Doh, where you can shape it to absolutely any shape you want to. With Sintra, it's more for parts that are supposed to be just solid and just kind of curved and bent a little bit. So that's a really good way to save money if you have some bigger pieces and you don't want to make it out of Warbler.
Did you pick it up at Lowe's or you have to order it?
Actually, Amazon Prime.
Right on. How do you spell Sintra?
It's Sintra.
Right on. I'll
Yeah.
probably be getting some of that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's weatherproof. It's expanded plastic. Like they take plastic and then pump air into it to puff it up. So it comes in different thicknesses. For our armor, we use 3mm thickness, but I think it goes all the way up to 1/2 inch, depending on what you're trying to work with.
And he actually made a set before this to experiment with PVC pipe.
Yeah, my first
It
set of
looked
armor.
great.
Yeah, my first set of armor I made out of PVC pipe. Like you go to buy Lowe's and you buy a sewer pipe, and then is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fantastic if you want something that's going to be super durable. And like the Sintra plates are great, but they still bend and flex a little bit, which is kind of nice for us when we're working around. But the first suit I built out of PVC, and by the time I was finished, the whole thing weighed like 80 pounds. Yeah. I think it actually could stop a bullet, but but it was way too heavy for me. So
You get armored up, you want somebody to hit you.
yeah,
You do, you really do.
Yeah. Actually, the first time that he was helping me fit my place, I was like, okay, now hit me. I really did say that.
yeah.
Do you guys basically start with like a Don Post helmet or something, or like a toy store helmet, and kind of go from there?
Yeah, this one, if you actually want, there's an organization called the Mandalorian Mercs, and it's essentially the 501st equivalent for Mandalorian bounty hunters. This helmet in particular would not pass. He's still a recruit, and so this is sort of like a training helmet for him, just so he can wear out while he's getting all his armor together. But if you're looking for a cheap helmet that will pass, it's called a Django 2-piece helmet on Amazon. It's $30. The only thing that sucks is that there's a seam in the middle, and so you'll have to like put some Bondo on and sand it down and get rid of that seam.
Is the seam what doesn't let it pass?
Yeah, it won't pass with the seam, but if you Bondo the seam down and then just paint it, then it'll pass. So
I bought a helmet in January that I'm still waiting on. So if you're going to do it, like, plan way ahead of time.
yeah, and if you're buying like this one's an actual like resin cast helmet from someone who actually sculpted this out, and this is his own particular design. because you can see it's a little bit different than a typical
Yeah.
Mando helmet. If you want something like one of these actual good helmets, this one was $200. And the wait list when I got it was 3 months. Most of the time, the wait lists are between 3 and 9 months for any different pieces you want. Like I'm waiting on a jetpack right now, but it's probably going to be like another 5 months before it comes in. But the two-piece helmets I was talking about, those ones are readily available on Amazon. You can just go Amazon, order it, get it in a couple days.
I had a question. I'm too busy listening. I had a question and lost it. I was thinking. So is it through the 501st or is it a totally separate organization?
It's totally separate. There's 3 officially licensed costume organizations: Mandalorian Mercs, 501st, and Rebel Legion.
Okay.
Yep. We're
That's
the newest and we're the smallest, so a lot of people haven't heard of us yet. We have 1,200 official members now, as opposed to like the 10,000 501st, something like that. Yeah. So, but we're growing.
But we went to a parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade in Pittsburgh, and there were as many Mandos as there were Rebel Legion
Yep.
people.
Nice.
Yeah, it's growing fast. The one thing I really like about our organization, well, there's 2 things. Number one, if you join 501st, you're not allowed to take your helmet off because you're not an official canon character. In the Mercs, my face is my official canon character's face, so I can take my helmet off and talk and
Right.
drink and eat food, and so it's a lot more enjoyable. The other thing that I really like is that you get to design your own character. So like if you're going to be a stormtrooper, now I'm not knocking 501st at all. I have a stormtrooper kit I'm working on. But if you're doing that, there's a very strict set of guidelines. Everything has to be this. You have to have this. You have to have this.
It's crazy strict.
Yeah, it's super crazy strict. With the Mercs, there are guidelines. Like you got to have like a chest diamond, and there's certain guidelines and everything. But you can let your creativity show by like I wanted my armor to be gray with these red stripes and black stripes, and he's going for more of a bronze kit, and so you can kind of there's enough room for you to be creative with it, and I really appreciate that avenue of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit about the Mandalorians. Like everybody knows about Boba Fett and Jango, but like before episode 1,
Mhm.
yeah, give us some history.
Well, how far back do you want to go? I'm a really big nerd for this stuff.
Well, that's what we're here to do.
Okay. So Mandalorians have always been a race of warriors. Like they're just this really big warrior clan. In fact, the actual tradition of being a Mandalorian started with an alien race, and these humans were conquering the galaxy, and they basically wiped out that alien race, but they loved the fact that this alien race had this warrior mentality, so they absorbed their whole culture. They loved everything they had to do, so they wiped them out and then took it over. And so basically they were a warrior race for a long time, all the way up until the Old Republic era, where they sided with the Sith Empire fighting against the Republic. And when the Sith Empire lost, the Mandalorians sort of went into retreat for a while. And the Republic actually recognized how big of a threat the Mandalorians were, because a single Mandalorian could take on 2 or 3 Jedi at a time. So the Republic actually, it was a peacetime. Like everything was peace contracts were signed and everything. And the Republic sent a fleet to Mandalore, the home planet, and zapped it. Like they bombarded it from space to wipe out the Mandalorians to make sure they'd never be a threat.
So that's why they're all gone.
Yeah. There's still a few, but like after that bombardment, 90% of the planet was uninhabitable, and the Mandalorians that were there decided that it would be best for them to just try to make peace with the Republic and not fight anybody and just kind of stay in the background for a long time. But then towards the beginning, right before the beginning of where the episode 4 would start, there was a rebellion. And the warrior clan, who had been sort of in the shadows, like still training and still keeping up the old ways, basically had a rebellion, and they took it back over.
So is that all still canon now?
Yes, because a lot of that's from Clone Wars.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I read a lot of the short stories, and hell, I've still got the Alan Dean Foster book, which was non-canon after Empire came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Early the Dozen Vong, all that stuff's gone, right?
Yeah, that's all gone.
I was looking forward to that.
Yeah. Although I was just talking to him earlier on the way down here. I have high hopes, if you guys, I don't know if you're Star Wars fans or not, but if you know who Mara Jade is, I have high hopes that Disney's going to be bringing back a lot of that, because Rebels, by the way, if you haven't watched Rebels is fantastic. But they showed a screenshot from season 2 of Rebels, and it shows a red-headed woman kneeling before the Emperor.
That's
And
totally her.
yeah, who else could it be besides Mara Jade?
Awesome.
So that gives me some hope that even though they've wiped out all the old canon, they might be bringing some of their best
Too many
parts.
good
of it.
ideas in the expanded universe, but not the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Thrawn gone? Is he even still canon?
Yeah,
He's
until
not canon.
He's not
now,
canon,
But they could
bring him back.
because they own those characters,
Yeah.
so they could always bring them back.
My brother-in-law was actually Thrawn for the 501st
Oh, yeah?
before he got his shell armor. I don't know if he can still do that. Maybe.
As of right now, you can, because I was actually just on the website earlier, like Revan and Malik and like all those. As of right now, you can, but whether or not that'll change next year, I don't know.
I saw Revan last year with him. Yeah. We'll see. I'm kind of happy it's out of George Lucas's hands.
Me too.
That's general consensus, I think.
Yeah.
Like, whew, yeah, okay. Like did you guys read the one, there's an article in Game Informer where they were talking about the death of LucasArts games.
Mm.
And they'd be in a meeting with George Lucas and he'd pop out some really doofy idea and they'd be waiting for him to laugh or kind of hint that he was joking and wouldn't he be serious? Like, that's how you get names like Jar Jar Binks. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, God works in mysterious ways.
Him and I fight about this all the time. I'm one of the biggest Star Wars fans that exist, and I really hate George Lucas. I really
Nice.
do. I don't feel like he brought anything.
I
Like
love it.
the only thing that he did.
He created the universe.
But
Now, he also ruined it.
But
he did create
But he
the
created the
universe.
universe by stealing the best parts of a whole bunch of other things. And
I'm okay.
I'm okay with it because it's awesome, but I don't feel like he contributed that much. That's just my opinion. I'm probably gonna get ganked after this.
I love their whole marketing strategy for the Battlefield games. Like the first thing you saw in the first commercial was a sniper zooming in on a Gungan and taking it out.
Yep.
That was their marketing strategy. Like they knew what everybody wanted to do. And then you go to Endor and kill it.
Well, I always wanted to cosplay a Gungan, only so that I can be like beaten to crap and like have like a Mando like with with a leash around me or something.
Yeah.
I think people would like that.
Oh yeah, if you want to know like the depths of how evil people can be, we marched in the Pittsburgh St. Patrick's Day parade, and his armor wasn't ready to wear yet by then. So he came as our Jedi prisoner. Like we had like a beat up robe, and he had like handcuffs and everything. And it was a lot of fun because like I would literally like he would just kind of like stumble around and I would push him and I would like shout things at him and stuff. But literally, so like there's kids and grandparents and everything outside the parades. I'd push them, and I would hear, "Yeah, effing kill him!
Yeah.
Kill that kid!" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" Like,
One out of every like 50 people would be like, "Let him go," but most everybody's like, "Get him!"
yeah, people are vicious, man. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, should we step out of your way? We came to watch you.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, you guys just kind of came in and what can I say? That's too badass.
Well, we were running late because we were putting this stuff on.
Yeah, I got here 5 minutes late trying to paint my face up. That's fine. I probably still have patches in the back not done, but I don't know. I don't even know how long this panel is. Is it an hour or?
I was just told about 5 minutes before I came
Right
in.
on. I didn't look at the schedule. I didn't have a PowerPoint. Like I told Corey I was winging it. He said, okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a public speaker. I'm better with tools and materials. I manipulate matter, not people.
What do you use for your weathering on the gauntlets here?
That's the rub and buff.
That's what we used to. Okay,
That's
I was just gonna
you
ask
can
you
probably
that.
still smell the rub and buff on me.
Yeah. I told if you ever use rub and buff, a tiny tube. They come in tubes like this big, but it goes a long way. And I told him that, and I'm like, for your armor, you probably only need one tube. If you want to be super safe, get two. And you bought like 6. I think?
Yeah, but so the reason why I bought 6 was it came in packs of 3 on Amazon, so I was like, oh, it's cheaper to buy a 3-pack from this seller than it is to buy them in singles. Like, all right. And then I started getting paranoid because I wanted it to show up in time. And I accidentally went and bought it a second time from what I thought was a different seller, but was the same seller. So I got 6 tubes of rub and buff to my house, and I'm like, I've done this now. One tube. I'm still on 1 tube. I still have 1 tube of rub and buff.
And he's done it twice. Like he did
Yeah,
it, did it
I
once, didn't like
back-sanded a little
it, sanded it
bit.
all down, and then did it a second time.
So it really does
Yeah.
last a long time. But I mean, I'll need it when I get my real helmet
Yeah,
so.
yeah, absolutely.
What's the deal with the green stripe?
What do you mean, like,
Well,
like why did I do it,
Well, that or
how did I do it?
well, I guess whenever I see that, I kind of see either some sort of badging that's kind of wearing off,
Mm-hmm.
or something that's revealing itself that's underneath of the coppery.
Okay, so it is badging that's wearing off, but all, I just did it, and there's a little bit on here, and when I get my real helmet in, it's going to tie into the color scheme a little better. But I just did that just to give it some color, just because I'm going for what they call like an aqua mando. Yeah, funny. So it'll be, I just thought like a blue green like that would be a nice touch. And there's some more weathering stuff that I haven't done to this yet that I want to do. But that's what that was. It was just paint, and I used liquid latex so that I could mask off areas of this, and I just did it in stages. So underneath this plate's all black, and then there was some latex over top of these spots. Then I did rub and buff, and then I let that sit, and I did a little bit more liquid latex here, so it would really look like I'd really been run through the mill, been underwater, seen some action. So.
Liquid latex for battle damage is really good. It works really well.
And it lasts forever.
Yeah.
And using that just as a mask.
Yeah. So like, for my battle damage here, what I did was like for these stripes. So I would use painter's tape to tape off the parts that I didn't want to paint. So I did the gray coat first, and then for the black stripe, I would mask off where I didn't want to be black, and then I would come down here and just drop little droplets of latex paint, like here and here and here and all those different spots, and then go and paint right over top of latex paint after it dries, and then do a couple coats or do whatever you're doing, and then add second stripes. And whenever you're finally finished, you can literally just go back with like a toothpick or something and just pick off where the latex paint was, and it just peels right off, and it leaves like those shapes that you had the latex paint there. Is that really good?
When I did mine, I would take some of it off with my fingers, but a lot of it I would use like really fine grit sandpaper to dull this out more, and the sandpaper would take off most of the liquid latex just on that if you really want to be lazy about it.
Yeah. One really good tip if you're going to try to do stripes on anything or any kind of solid line with painter's tape, and I don't think I've told you this yet. I probably should have before you did stripe. It's really tough to get like a perfectly straight line with painter's tape. I mean, you can get pretty close, but if you actually look real close to it, there'll be like lots of little, around the edges, there'll be a little bit of paint bleed. A way to get really good straight lines is once you have the painter's tape down, instead of painting with the actual color you want, put down a coat of clear coat first, like a glossy clear coat or a satin or whatever you're going for. And then what happens is the bleed that bleeds under that little bit is clear. It's that clear coat that bleeds. And then when you paint the actual paint color on top of the clear coat, there's no room for it to bleed anymore. And so that line will be perfectly straight.
I'm gonna adopt that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great trick.
Right on.
Yeah.
Use that for my helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, I meant
This
to
I wanted it to look. I'm okay
Little
with that
rough
looking
and
a little
stuff.
rough,
Yeah.
but the helmet I want it to be a little more pristine.
Yep.
Not much.
And if you're going for the rub and buff stuff, if you want something that just looks really, really weathered and damaged, put some rub and buff on, and then take some steel wool and sand the rub and buff down with steel wool. And if you do it, you can get a couple different looks based on your sanding pattern. But if you're looking for just like a weathered metal, if you just take the steel wool and just do it in one direction, you'll get like this real cool, like it looks like almost like it's been in the rain and the dirt has just like rained down, and like I don't know how to describe it, but it makes it look like it's just been sitting out in the weather for a long time.
Heck yeah.
With that helmet there, did you have to, did it come with that nice big visor in it, or did you have to modify the visor to get a nice looking
This one,
visor? Yeah.
this was actually his practice helmet. It came with the visor in there, so I was really scared when I started painting it because I didn't want to ruin his visor. I very carefully masked it off, but it came with that. And most of them, like the one that he has there, you have to buy a visor for it separately, but a lot of places you can buy them pre-cut. Like my helmet, I think the reason why it's taking mine so long is the person that I bought it from will actually trim this out and trim the visor for you. So
Yeah, to clarify on that a little bit, if you buy a kit helm that's been actual like resin casted and everything, the visor part is still solid resin. Like you can't see out of it when you first buy them. So there are people like what he's getting from where you can pay like an extra $50 and they'll cut the visor out for you, that kind of stuff. Or you can just take a Dremel and cut the visor part out, and then you have to buy the actual visor part separately. They're about $10. There's a website called, I think it's t-visor.com, and they carry like 100 different types of Mandalorian T-visors, and they're all right around $10.
How many styles are there?
Oh gosh.
Right on.
Off the top of my head, I could probably think of 20 different styles.
Cool. Okay.
But actually, you can have like that's another. I was talking about the creativity where you can make the Mando like your own personal character. Really, the only requirement for joining the Mercs for your helmet is that it has a T-visor. Other than that, you can kind of graze with it. There's some people who they have the T-visor, but then they plug in this bottom part here and paint it, and then they plug in a couple parts here, and it makes kind of like a skull face out of the T-visor. Perfectly acceptable. So there's a lot of flexibility and creativity.
They're going to pick up people faster. I know a guy in the 501st with 2 sets of armor that did not pass.
Yeah.
So I think he's got an Imperial officer's uniform that he wears instead, but his Sand Trooper and Scout Trooper armor didn't pass.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not knocking 501st because I understand why everyone, you're stormtroopers or whatever, so you have to look exactly like every other stormtrooper, but
this kid's huge, too. He's the most muscle-bound stormtrooper I've ever seen.
Yeah.
His breastplate looks like it's this big on him.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the amount of flexibility you have in building these costumes, I think makes it so much more fun. I've seen Mando helmets where they're called Beastmasters, where they're essentially like more wilderness people, and they'll have like wampa horns on the side of their helmets, like the old Viking helmets, and all kinds of cool stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. The websites, you can go to firespray.net or mandalorianmercs.com, and there are all kinds of costumes there. You can check them all out.
Good.
And they're nice too.
They're nice. They're real nice, yeah.
It's not like, some forums you join and, people are rude or, everybody on there has been nice as can be. So.
Do you think
They want you to be in it. They They want you to do well. And it's not, they don't want to like shame you.
Yeah.
So.
it's like Klingons get real cliquish and they stay in character too much.
Yeah.
It's like, I was a little kid at conventions and I remember just not liking the Klingons because they're just so mean to everybody. Like, they're in
It takes a certain
character.
personality to be a Klingon cosplayer.
Usually it's fun. There's these guys at Gen Con, they play, I heard them playing Smoke on the Water in Klingon. That was awesome. They're fun guys, but I remember as a kid, they were just usually jerks.
Yeah.
But I figured, Mandalors, Bobas, man, a few words, and one of the few people that can, kind of be a jerk to Darth Vader.
Yep.
It's like him and Grand Moff Tarkin, the only ones that ever gave Vader lip.
Yep. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But, but it doesn't, it's not inside the helm. You guys are all cool folk. That's cool.
I think so.
He's not that cool.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, argue about George Lucas more. That was interesting.
Yeah. That's just don't kill me.
Well,
That's
no,
just how I feel.
I was highly disappointed in things that he's done, but I feel like he did provide this great universe for other people to do things.
I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to rest my case. We have 2 versions of Star Wars. We have the version of Star Wars where George Lucas did pretty much nothing to it, and we have the version of Star Wars where George Lucas wrote and directed it. Which do you like better?
I'm not going to answer that question.
All right. I rest my case.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Ask us questions.
How do you make swords?
No, I have to make a Warcraft sword soon. I'm going to use the EVA foam. I don't know WoW. I'm not a WoW game. I played Warcraft 2. So yeah, I haven't played Warcraft 3 as I call it, but it's WoW now. But she wants the Voldrathar's Sword of Oblivion, Dark Blade of Oblivion, and the thing's like 5.5 feet. So I started, I took some 1x and I made a sword out of wood first. And the other one is the one that she wants. It's a foot wide. The blade is that wide in places. It's got 4 different color light effects in it. But yeah, my plan is to use EVA foam for a sword. But I had to make a wooden one first. I don't really know where else to start.
Yeah. What wood do you use when making your wooden swords?
Oh, white pine from Lowe's. You know, just go get some 1x or something like that. I mean, it won't take a hit. Like,
Yeah.
if she hits anybody with it, she's gonna break her core inside.
And if, like, for the foam, how are you gonna brace the interior? Is the foam strong enough to just?
Well, I mean, the swords, the sword will be, there'll only be about this much of the length that doesn't have a spine in it. I don't know, what exactly was your question?
Yeah, I mean, like, that spine that you're talking about, what do you use to brace it? Because if it's just foam, it's just gonna, you know.
Right, it'll be, I got like it's like a 8-inch wide 1x.
Okay, so you're
Yeah, I
still
just
using the
drew
wood
a
to brace
sword
it.
on it and cut it out with the jigsaw and.
So basically, you make the wooden sword and then you just wrap it in the foam.
Yeah, I'm gonna sandwich, for this, I'm gonna sandwich the EVA on both sides. It's gonna have to be 6 sheets of EVA, because you can only get it in the 2-foot by 2-foot puzzle piece sections,
Yeah.
formats,
Yeah.
which like, somebody needs to get on that. Like, if you churn out bigger sheets of EVA, you will be rich from the cosplay world. There's a dude named I can't remember his actual real name. He calls himself the Foam Smith. His logo, he's got like one of those puzzle piece thing, and he's hitting it with a hammer. But that's, those 2-foot by 2-foot sections are so limiting, man. Like, if I could get 2 pieces of 6-foot foam, that's sort of done. The marrying it together and figuring out how I want the seams to run, because you don't want perfect ridiculous seams. If you want some seams, you want to try to do them at 45 or something, so it looks like part of the way the sword was made. Yeah.
My girlfriend works with EVA a lot. The only thing that I'll add to that is when you go to paint it or rub and buff or whatever you're going to do to it, it's a very absorbent material. And so I need to seal it with something. A lot of people use polyurethane, which is for like hardwood flooring. They sell it at Walmart. It's pretty cheap. But my girlfriend actually, she prefers to use wood glue. So if you just like get like a big bucket of wood glue from Lowe's or something and just dip a brush in it and then just coat it, it'll make it's almost like candy coating. Like it just makes this smooth coating on the outside of it, and then you can just paint right on top of the wood glue after it's dry.
People use Mod Podge.
Mod Podge, yeah.
Effect, but it
I
doesn't
hate
dry.
Mod Podge.
Okay,
Oh
well,
gosh. Yeah, my
It doesn't
girlfriend uses it all the
dry.
time. I'm like, it's stupid. It dries like it's rubber, and nah. Sorry,
No, I agree.
getting close to home there.
Yeah, using your liquid latex, use your liquid latex instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Find some Mod Podge.
Yeah.
I'm paying $6 for a cup.
Yeah. Now the wood glue does come out really nice.
Heck yeah.
It's nice and smooth.
I'm a big fan of wood glue.
Yeah. What's that?
That's what I used on the knees.
Use wood glue on your knees
Just to
to smooth
cut
out those
the
lines.
seams.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Wood glue will cut you though. You can cast weapons out of wood glue and they cut.
Yeah.
A lot of words. Questions? Like I said, I'm horrible at this. I'll just be upfront about it. I'm good at sculpting things and forcing matter to my will.
The thing that I'm most impressed with is when I was looking at some of these parts and, really focusing in on what they were, I could start kind of picking out
Thanks, Josh.
things you build them out of.
Oh,
once
yeah.
you stick them all together and kind of paint them roughly the same color, and it's its own thing.
It's kind of fun. You'll be walking down a con and somebody will come up and be like, yeah, that's so-and-so, that's
Yeah.
so-and-so, yeah, I see that. There's your espresso machine.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's bad. I'll warn you this ahead of time. If you start getting into making costumes and all that stuff, there's something that unlocks in your head, and you'll never look at the world the same again. Like I literally last night, my girlfriend and I went to the dollar store. She had to get like some poster board for something, and like I'm walking down the aisle, and I'm walking down the pill aisle, and I'm seeing all those pill boxes. And I'm like, okay, well that could be an ammo pouch. I'm like, okay, that kind of looks like a muzzle. Like everything that you see from this point forward, you'll be like, well, I could take that and paint it, and it would look like something different.
Heck yeah.
That's my life.
Do it while you just go ahead and do it. Find what you love. What's your favorite game? What's your favorite movie? That is a tough question.
It's not Star Wars. Yeah.
Episode 1, right?
Shut up.
Well, I will say that the first 3 movies could be ranked as one of the best.
Yeah.
The original, not the.
Of course, the prequels.
You got some favorite ones?
Somebody needs to throw them in a ditch and keep them from existence.
I like this
It's
game.
fun to play in Lego games, but horrible as a movie. Like if you played some of the Lego games of the prequels, they are reasonable, but they would not make a good movie.
You're the first kid that I've heard trash the prequels. Most
Yeah.
people, most adults don't like the prequels, and then I know a lot of kids that are like, oh, you know.
Well, I thought the prequels were okay until I watched them.
You and me both,
That was
buddy.
awesome.
You and me both.
Oh.
And it's on video. That was awesome.
I thought they were okay, but and I haven't seen the third one, and I don't want to. Don't make Yoda a puppet.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited they went back to practical effects for
Yeah.
episode
Oh, yeah.
7. JJ, man.
Yeah, that new
I hope
droid
this
is completely practical.
Yeah, that's
Makes me
insane.
Very happy.
Yeah.
How many movies are they making? Do you know they
Probably
have a count?
until nobody wants to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, obviously.
I think every other year there's going to be a movie, like there's going to be The Force Awakens, and there's a spin-off, then Episode 8, whatever that's going to be called, and a
Yeah.
spin-off.
Yeah,
Really?
there's three. There's a new trilogy. So 7, 8, 9. They're
Yeah.
definitely making those. Those are going to come every 2 years, and then in between those, there's going to be spin-off movies. Like I think they've confirmed a Han Solo movie.
And
I
then-
think they've confirmed a Boba Fett, or I might
Or
have
it's
been.
somehow wrapped into this one, and I forget what the movie is called, the Red One, or
Well, no, that Rogue One.
that's what.
That one's coming next year. That'll be next May.
I think
I think.
they hinted that Boba Fett was going to be in that one, maybe, or
I haven't heard that. Maybe.
I don't know. But
So he's out of the Sarlacc pit, missing an arm and a leg.
And see,
now, right?
I think that's another thing that makes me think that they're bringing back the best parts of the old canon.
Because if you watch the new Battlefront
Yeah.
trailer, Boba Fett's in it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, without giving you any spoilers from the movie, the movie takes place on like the sand planet from the trailer. That's a new planet. That's not Tatooine,
Wow.
and in the game, they're on that planet and Boba Fett's there fighting. So
What's the deal with the Star Wars, the trooper from the teaser? Do you guys know anything about that?
which trooper?
The
Chrome
the
trooper?
Chrome one?
the black guy. With
Oh,
the helmet
okay.
on. Is he like an integral to that story? Or do you
Why
know?
are people freaking out?
No, I'm just curious.
It is weird.
Because
you don't see troopers do
he's-
anything other than miss.
he's
mostly.
going to be a main
And
character. Whether or not we had this discussion as to whether or not is he somebody that's Imperial or New Order that defects, or is he like a double agent or something? We
Yeah,
don't.
well,
I mean,
it wouldn't be the
yeah.
first time somebody dressed in a stormtrooper outfit.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
It's happened
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, but it's definitely a main
Oh.
character. I just don't know
Oh.
which side he's actually coming from to end up in that.
To
one.
answer your question though, people are freaking out because they mistakenly think that stormtroopers are clones since they look so much like clone troopers, but they're not.
Yeah, they
And
were
that's-
enlisted men in episode 4. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not volunteers. They're getting
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah. Well, even in Rebels, which again, you should watch it if you haven't. They show like parts of where like they start taking kids at the age of like 10 and start training them to be stormtroopers.
Right on.
Like so, by the time they grow up, they're indoctrinated and you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you think they're gonna do movies on the Old Republic?
I hope. I hope so much.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Star Wars story. That whole with the Revan and Malik and the Star Forge. Oh, so good. And again, George Lucas, nothing to do with it.
But without him, it wouldn't have existed.
I will give him credit.
That's why I always have to go back. No matter how mad he makes me, I always have to be like, all right, well, I have to.
That's why the first thing I said was I will give him credit for being a person who's good at stealing ideas from other people and combining them.
That's all I ask.
Yeah.
He set
So
up
that-
the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a mashup of other things.
He didn't even invent lightsabers. He stole lightsabers from Flash Gordon.
Yeah, he wanted to make Flash Gordon, and they
Yep.
wouldn't let him.
Yep.
So he made
Oh
it.
wow.
Yep.
Ah,
Which I like Flash Gordon too.
Right on, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the chicken or the egg. That's what it sounds like.
Well, there's Flash Gordon. There's a lot of like, like what is it? The Hidden Fortress, Japanese. A lot of things that he borrowed from.
Mhm.
from
The
Star
dam,
Wars.
was it the Dam Busters with the trench scene in episode 4?
Yeah. I'm convinced. I think we had this discussion. I'm convinced that he stole the entire idea of Order 66 from the Knights Templar. I don't know if you guys know Knights Templar history or not, but the Pope at the time had borrowed a lot of money from the Knights Templar and didn't want to pay them back. So he sent out a letter to a bunch of like bishops and stuff and said, "Don't open this until this date, this time."
Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then when they opened it, the letters had declared all the Knights Templar heretics and said that they shall be murdered immediately. And so all across
Execute Order
See,
66.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like the evil head of an empire or whatever declared all the Knights Templar that need to be immediately killed all across everywhere. I'm telling you. So,
I know. I
That
was
was the Assatian popes, when the papacy had been moved out of Rome to the southern part of France, and they were in line with the French nobility. And it was the Pope and the King of France that owed the order a bunch of money.
okay, I didn't know that.
And anywhere they could get a hold of them, they killed them or forced them to confess to
Yeah.
a bunch of things. The only place they didn't really get a hold of them was in the Cyprus and in the Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they maintained. I do SEA, so I'm
That's
an
awesome.
SEA
Cool. Yeah. I'm actually going to Scotland in 2 weeks. I'm going
Cool.
to Roslyn Chapel.
Cool.
Pretty awesome.
You guys had to like THX though, right?
What's
The
that?
movie THX?
I love that movie.
Okay. Now, did he steal that from anybody?
Probably not.
There's
There are no
there's
new
probably some kind of
ideas.
future book.
Maybe, yeah. I don't
You
know.
read a bunch of
But it's
40s,
great.
50s.
It looks beautiful.
Maybe Ray Bradbury. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the dystopian society. I mean, there's been other book, but I mean, that's pretty original movie, I think.
Like I said, I think the problem with George Lucas was when he made the first three movies he made. Of course, he had some, very heavy lifters for the second two movies in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But he wasn't George Lucas then. He was just some guy. And so when they edited it, they had a good editor come in there. They had good sound design. When he made the prequels, he was George Lucas. This is my baby. And
Yep.
it shows.
Micromanaged everything in there.
He didn't have anybody say, no, that's not a good idea. No, that's stupid. No, this needs to go here. He just did what he wanted to.
Should've
Have
kept
you
the
ever
kids in the
seen
room.
the
But at least we got Darth Maul.
the guy who
Yeah, but they
did the
ruined
re-edit?
that.
I know.
They ruined that whole fight.
I know.
Sorry.
No, they did. I was very disappointed.
The coolest part of lightsaber battles is the conversation.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, "Oh, you have a sister," and then all of a sudden his sister's threatened, and like all this stuff. There were no words in the entire Darth Maul battle. It was just like cool looking guy, and then they fight.
Ray Parks can like defy gravity. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Did they? Have you guys seen the? It's not an edit, but a guy went through with animations and showed how the prequel should have been done. Have you seen that? I can't remember. I can't remember. He fixes it.
You could probably take all three prequels and make one or two really good movies.
Well, what he did.
I mean,
No, he did. There's the fan edits of that. But
Yeah.
he went through and made the stories the way it should, like fix like things like instead of having. You'd have to see it. I can't do a lot of here, but actually, it was a movie you'd much rather seen than what you saw.
Yeah. I think I've seen that. Is it called like How It Should Have Ended or something like that? Is it on
Maybe.
YouTube?
It's, I think the same guy, but
Okay.
it's like
It was hilarious. This is the guy who's like, and Yoda should have never picked up a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like that guy?
maybe no. Well, this is like I don't know if I could find it. I can't show you here, but it was a guy who went through and did the editing that no one could do for George Lucas, and it made the story a better story. And I wish I could have more details, but
Yeah.
I'm running on about 4 hours sleep. I'm not very sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, who else was up gaming all night?
I wasn't up game long.
Nope, not me.
Yeah, I spent the second half retching.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Good to meet you, Yogi.
Oh,
Here, carry that.
hey, I know something that George Lucas took off for Star Trek. Definitely the title.
I'm a second generation nerd raised with like Bradbury in my hands. There's no original ideas. People are like, you really need to watch Harry Potter. I was like, Wizard School? That's been done.
Oliver Potter.
it's very good. Yeah.
Is it?
I think
I
it's
like it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very
Right on.
Yeah. I don't know how original I'd say it is.
Yeah,
But
because there's supposedly there's a comic book too that's
Yeah.
a young wizard in a yeah. If it's good, it's good.
Right on. Everybody's got their taste, right?
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us hijack your panel.
Oh man, thanks for
We were just coming in to watch and look.
gave
at
my
your
panel a
stuff.
shot in the army, mate.
Can I get a picture?